You see, the thing is with this so-called human being thing that apparently is going on here, there is a vast variance of consciousness spread throughout the whole of the cosmos and spread throughout all different species on this planet. Now, most people would readily accept that, because we've been told all of our lives that primates are less conscious than us, and dolphins and octopus and some monkeys are more conscious than some human beings. No, but that's true, isn't it? You get lots of different retardations in the human being, and you know what octopus can do is absolutely incredible, and the intelligence that dolphins are said to have had. So we know that consciousness is vastly varied, but it's vastly varied in the human being. And as to why the powers that be don't want to acknowledge this, don't want to announce it, don't want to act accordingly overtly, is anyone's guess. But of course they absolutely acknowledge that consciousness is vast, and that's why they take advantage of their higher levels of consciousness, the ones right at the top. And then they use people, mostly those who are unconscious, to do their dirty work. You know, the likes of George Bush and Kamala and idiots like that. Yeah, they will pick those all day long to do their dirty work for them. But fortunately, more conscious humans have considered that they don't want to be manipulated and dominated by those idiots anymore, and so they've put the foot down and they've exercised their level of consciousness. Now, come and have a look here. I want to show you something. So over here, these are my little oak trees, which I have planted and I'm nurturing. And what I did was I buried a whole tray of acorns under the soil. Then I planted acorns just sitting on the top, because I wanted to see which ones did better, which ones survived, which ones didn't. And it appears that the ones on the top are the mostly the ones that are a bit slow in some instances, maybe because they never had the constant amount of moisture. And then over here we can see that, well, we've got the ones on top which predominantly are doing well. So but this tray doesn't have any planted underneath the soil, so therefore we're getting a false impression if we don't know that. This one has many acorns which are planted under the soil. But you see, what happens is they're all in different stages of development, and there are some which are still completely, what can we say? They haven't exactly realised their potential. You see, they're not even putting out a shoot. But I broke out one of these acorns yesterday from a shell which looked inactive, and in actual fact it isn't inactive, because it is just starting to put its shoot out. And so what I then attribute this grouping of baby oaks to is consciousness in the human being. Some thrive instantly and they get along like a house on fire, and others lie dormant, and some will never actually wake up for whatever reason. But we've got different stages of development here, and it's exactly the same as what happens with a human being. Some wake up very, very quickly and they flourish and they become very strong and dominant. Others may not wake up at all, and then others are much slower. And so when you look at that as a simile for human consciousness, then you can see, well, yeah, I mean, potentially we're all in a stage of development, and if some humans, they get to be, 80 years old or whatever, and they die unconscious, then it's kind of like, well, they weren't ready this time round, were they? What actually is it that turns the light on in people's consciousness? Now, the difficulty is with me saying things like that. Of course, there's lots of issues that people will have. Some people, particularly the lefties, would like to impose upon the world that we're all the same, we've all got the same levels of consciousness, and there's no difference to us whatsoever, and we're all capable of becoming, presidents and prime ministers and all that stuff. But it absolutely isn't the case. The reality is that there are very, very unconscious people on the planet, very, very many of those. There are a few in the initial germination sort of stage, and even fewer in the fully fledged striving for the light state of consciousness. Now, let me just show you again, because this is really important, and it's a beautiful illustration of the reality which we can see all around us once we are conscious. Now, those of you who are watching who are not conscious, then you'll think what I'm saying is absurd, and I'm bigging myself up again because I'm the only one or one of the few that's woken up and this and the other. But that's because you are unconscious. Now, if you say to people, or if people would say to you, well, am I conscious? Well, if you have to ask that question, then you're not. You're unconscious. And if you say to people like, what's the difference between being unconscious and being conscious? And they say no difference, there's no difference. What do you mean? We're all the same. Well, they're unconscious. So that's a very concise giveaway for the unconscious, because they don't know anything else. And it's like the concentric circles which I speak about. When you throw a pebble in the pond, then you get the circles, going out, and these circles, the waves of consciousness growing and expanding, and by the time that wave has expanded the full breadth and parameters of that pond, then it's entirely conscious to everything that's going on in that pond, metaphorically, yeah? Whereas the ripples in the centre, which keep being generated from the water bobbing up and down, when the stone or the pebble goes in, then the water comes back out again, then it comes back down, it comes back down. It does this, doesn't it? If you ever watched a bead of water dropped into a glass, you'll see what it does, which creates the concentric circles. When you are in a concentric circle, which is one of the outer parameters ones, then you are the most conscious, and the ones who are baby circles, they're the unconscious or the least conscious. And so that is a very good metaphor also, and I've actually coined that metaphor as far as I can see. Nobody else has spoken like that. And so then when I'm looking at these, we open our eyes and we become more conscious, and we can see this all around. We can see it in animals, we can see it in so-called human beings, we can see it in many facets of the world. We can see that there's certain plants even which are more conscious than others. Why? By the things that they do, the genius that they elicit. You can see that there's a consciousness going on there, and it isn't all ad hoc chance like Darwin would suggest. So, what can we do? It's very difficult, isn't it? When you've got the vast majority of the human race who are actually unconscious, and then you try to educate them, well, how do you do it? All you can do is just keep watering them. You can keep watering them and you put them in the sunlight, and you go, well, I can do no more. I can do no more. And what I've been doing, I've been planting seeds, and I've been watering you, and I've been creating the best possible fertile ground for you to start to make some realizations and wake up, at least to the best of my ability, and whatever wherewithal I can muster up to present to you. You may think that other people are better at it, or you may consider that you are more receptive to a much more gentle approach. But my approach is, is a unique one, and that's because I'm unique. I don't want to be the same as everybody else. I'm not the same as everybody else. And even if I wanted to be the same as everybody else, I couldn't possibly be the same as anybody else, because I'm me. And this is the thing, and we're all individuated, fictional shards of God consciousness, but ultimately we are all one. And so because we're all milling around, and I'm a me and you're a you and all this sort of thing, then we've got certain characteristics which are particular to ourselves. And so I'm exhibiting mine, and I'm not shying away, and I'm not denying them, and I'm not embarrassed of them, and I'm not about to chastise myself and change my delivery, anything about me, to please some of you out there. Why would I do that? Only a fool would do that, or a desperado. And when you look around at the internet, well, that's all you've got. You've got desperados who just are begging for likes and subscribes and funding, and they need to toe the Google line to get the advertisement and this and the other. I can't get any advertisement. I can't get any AdSense because my language doesn't get put forward in the algorithms. Not only that, then the subject matter doesn't get put forward, and lots of the things I say are not conducive to the way the world is being manipulated with the leftist slant. And so again, my videos won't get put forward, so that's why my channel pretty well is stagnant and nothing much happening. And when people say, oh, your video came through in my algorithm, so that's a load of bullshit. No, it's not, because I explained this in one of the other videos. I said, look, the algorithms allow tendrils to be sent out to other channels. But what I'm saying to you now, every single one of you viewing my channels, you are not very, very prominent YouTubers spreading the good word that they want spreading. You've got nothing channels, they're very mediocre, and if you've got a few thousand subscribers, whatever, then it's completely innocuous, and so therefore the algorithms would send out links to my videos to you sort of people, because it doesn't matter, because you've got no reach, you're not important, and so they're not sending my videos to people with millions of viewers. They're not sending links to my videos to Russell Brand or to fucking Jordan Peterson when he's watching YouTube. The algorithms are not doing that. And it's for a very good reason. It's because it's all about money, and it's all about what they want spreading around the surface of the globe. And so once we start to get a handle on this, then we can start to make some certain realizations of what's going on here. But these baby oaks, one day most of them will grow into very large, substantial, sturdy, gorgeous expressions of life, and they have a propensity to last for about 500 years old without being affected by the human being or disease or whatever. And so some conscious people, you gained your consciousness very early. You were one of the early birds, and then you've had more time and more experience to bloom. And it seems to me that my big awakening came about 15 years ago, but it seems that I've learned an enormous amount in that relatively short period of time. But when I look at what I've done in this past 15 years, is spend like 12 hours a day reading and on YouTube. Well, the thousands and thousands of hours there. So very, very quickly, my spirit told me that you need to go on a crash course of all this stuff, because you need to know it fast. Probably because you only just started your awakening when you were 45 years old. If people people, you know, are born awake or start their awakening from, you know, severe childhood trauma or whatever, then they will have many, many, many more years to grow and to absorb the information at a slower rate. But where I am now, and you know, some of you will agree, some of you won't, but there's not too many people out there on the circuit which are going to be telling you any more than I'm telling you about the nature of what it is to be. So whatever my spirit has you know, made manifest during my 61 years, it's an equal amount as any of the gurus that have ever been out there, and I've watched a great deal of them, and I'm like, well, what are they saying over and above what I'm saying? Very little, because once you are conscious, then it's pretty well the same thing within the parameters of human consciousness, you see, because albeit we can have, you know, we can get in touch with cosmic consciousness, in the human form we're not cosmic consciousness, so we're still very, very much constrained to the humanisms and to the absorption of our brain and our soul and whatever it is in this matricial illusion, you know. But when this body dies and the spirit goes back to source, well, we go, oh, you know, then you know the nature of the cosmos because you are the cosmos. But when you are dreaming, and you know, again, I always use this simile, when we dream at night and we have our dream avatars and they're doing all this different sorts of stuff, and they feel like it's so real and they feel like they know what's going on, but then you wake up and you realise, oh, that was just a fiction in my mind. Well, this human thing is just a fiction in God's mind. So we're all God. Many of you don't want to accept that. You don't have the consciousness to receive that, and so maybe next time. And so that's what I'm always saying. And you know, this sort of rhetoric, you know, lots of people, they will feel affronted by it. Oh, he thinks he's so much better than this. He's always talking down. I'm just saying it the way it is. I'm just saying it the way it is. And if a fucking cheetah's strolling by a bunch of fucking chickens or sheep, then the cheetah's gonna go, you better watch out, you fucking sheep chickens. You know, because there's something going on here, which is a whole lot more that's going on there. You know, a cheetah's looking around, it's observing, it's absorbing, it's intellectualising, it's clever, it's got great prowess. And he knows a whole lot more than those silly animals pecking on a bit of seed or chewing cud. Yeah, so anyway, people, just a short video just to give you those similes.